Well, happy Wednesday to you, and thanks for joining us here on the 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm meteorologist Justin Gehrts.
And I'm meteorologist Aaron White, and it's been a pretty active, 24 hours. We had some storms last night. There were several severe thunderstorm warnings, and I know there was one tornado warning in parts of Lincoln County.
Yeah.
And kind of a bit active.
It really did, and it was interesting because with that Lincoln County cell that had the tornado warning, I checked radar, and we actually had to look at the airport radar to be able to see it because it's closer and gets a finer look at things. If you looked at the main radar down in Wilmington, it was too small to see the rotation on there, but there was just a little blip for a couple of frames, just lasting a couple of minutes. Don't believe there was any damage reported with that particular spot. But there were some tree damage reports elsewhere with those severe thunderstorm warnings that had happened earlier in the evening.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of wind up in parts of the northwestern area around Union County. Some parts of Champaign County, Logan County had some damage. I believe the Weather Service is actually going to do a survey out of Logan County, looking at some of the damage in there. And going to be talking about coming up later on at 5 o'clock, just going to be doing a little deep dive into what the Weather Service was seeing because the sirens were sounding in Union County, even though there wasn't a tornado warning. There was a report of a funnel cloud, possible tornado, but radar didn't really see anything. There's still severe thunderstorm warning, so definitely some strong winds in that area, but a bit active though, at least.
Yeah, it certainly was. And we're going to be watching for maybe a few active storms this afternoon and evening across parts of the area. It looks like most of that's going to be north of central Ohio, but I think some of our northern towns could get grazed by some of that here this afternoon. So let's hop right to it with your impact forecast. We do have that 10 weather impact alert coming up this afternoon into the evening, let's say 3 to 10, as a few strong storms are a possibility in our northern towns. Now, I'm not saying that nothing could happen as far south as, let's say, I-70, but the farther north you are, the better your chances of seeing at least some of that spotty stuff pop up. So stay updated with the 10 TV app. Make sure you have your push notifications turned on for that so that if your location goes under a warning, you'll find out about it. Now, right now, there's not much going on. Let's back out the view a little bit here and move off toward the west as we've had these thunderstorms that developed out in eastern Indiana rolling into Ohio at this point. And you notice there is some thunder with this, but there's no warning polygons on this. Now, I decided to put a little line on here tracking the southern edge of this. So you notice as it's tracked out of Indiana, that southern cell is actually kind of fallen apart. But based on this, it would be our northwestern towns with this batch of activity. We're also seeing some more in northeastern Indiana. That'll be staying well off to our north as well. As we go into the afternoon, or further into the afternoon rather, there might be some additional activity that tries to pop up. The farther south you are, the harder it's going to be for anything to develop just because there's a bit of a lid in the atmosphere to keep stuff from popping. Now, the Storm Prediction Center is watching portions of northern Ohio for a possible severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch this afternoon. It does appear that the farther north you get, the more likely there is to be some of this activity. But again, our far northern towns may get in on this coming up this afternoon into the evening. This is where that severe weather outlook for today is located. Level 1 out of 5 risk here locally for the Columbus area, but a little bit farther north our northern towns, level 2 out of 5, and it does appear that gusty winds would be the main thing we'll be watching for. If all the ingredients come together just right, there could be hail, maybe a brief spin-up tornado, but it does appear that'll be just north of our area as it appears at this point. For tomorrow, we have a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather across much of the state of Ohio. Again, an off chance that 1 or 2 storms could produce some gusty winds tomorrow. Looks like the odds of that tomorrow, though, are a bit lower. Then as we jump ahead to Saturday, there is a severe weather outlook that covers the entire state at this point. There's going to be a stronger cold front that pushes through that day. As a result, I think we'll have more organized storm activity, which could also produce some gusty winds. As we get closer, we'll have a better sense of the timing and details of that. In the meantime, here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Again, our far northern towns are the ones that have the best chance of seeing this scattered activity this afternoon into the evening hours. Now, the hour-by-hour forecast does overnight try to produce some flare-ups of showers and storms during the nighttime hours. I think most of that may end up to our north as well, but we'll keep an eye on it for you just in case. Tomorrow morning, we see partial sunshine, kind of that mix of sun and clouds. There is going to be a front that slides into the area, producing some spotty activity. Should be a bit more coverage with this tomorrow than what we have out there for today. Signs, though, do point to it ramping up in strength, probably as it gets to our eastern towns and off to the east of there. But just the same, again, a spotty storm is possible behind that line, and we could see some gusty winds here or there. By and large, though, the severe threat for tomorrow is pretty low. It is going to be a breezy afternoon. Once again, we've had that so far this week. Wind gusts peak around 25 to 30 miles an hour during the afternoon. During the overnight hours, they drop off some. They'll be fairly low tomorrow morning to start, and then ramp back up again during the afternoon. Now, those southwest breezes are warming us up in a big way. We should be up around 85 for a high this afternoon. Our record high is 84. So if we hit that, we'll be setting a new record high. Current one is set back in 2010. Now, we do have some warmth still the next couple of days, 80 tomorrow, 79 Friday, 82 Saturday, but then there's that cold front, knocks us back to 56 for a high on Sunday. So that is why we are highlighting Saturday for that potential storm activity, just because it is a pretty noteworthy front coming on through. Right now we have 82 degrees in Columbus, so 2 degrees away from tying the record high at this point as of 2 o'clock. There you see warmth all across the area, up to 85 right now in Circleville. It's currently 83 in Marysville, 81 Coshocton. Still hanging on to some 70s up north, 75 in Bucyrus and Mansfield, 76 in Bellefontaine. Clippers have a home game once again for this evening. Looks like it'll be a warm one. 85 degrees for the warm-ups, 83 for that first pitch as we're heading home. Still around 80 degrees with that partly cloudy sky. Looks like storm activity ought to be staying to our north and west for the game tonight. All right, here's that 7-day forecast as we do see again that chance coming up for tomorrow of a few storms. Highs around 80. Friday, it's a quiet day. Very nice. Lots of sunshine, highs around 79. There we have another weather impact alert for the PM hours on Saturday. Highs around 82 with some scattered thunderstorms along that cold front coming on through. Right now looks like mainly a gusty wind threat, but as I mentioned too, we'll keep an eye on that and let you know any updates as we go along. All right, for the second half of the weekend, 46 Sunday morning, 56 in the afternoon despite the sunshine. So it is going to be sharply cooler for Sunday. Monday, another 55 on the board, 36 in the morning. So outlying areas, if winds are light, could have some patches of frost. And then we're back up to 68 next Tuesday. So the cool down doesn't last very long. 68 next week is a completely reasonable, comfortable temperature.
Yeah, and a lot of sunshine out there too, which is nice to have, even though it's going to be cooler here come Sunday and Monday. Friday, though, I mean, I feel like that's going to be the choice day of the 7-day forecast.
Oh, goodness, yeah. 79
if you like the
sunshine,
warmth.
yeah. And that's not like oppressively warm. And I think the mugginess is probably going to come back a little bit, or come down a little bit here later on in the week compared to what we've had. Not that it's been super humid, but enough that you notice it for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I will say I'm ready for Friday. I'm going to go out paddleboarding.
Very nice.
I was like, you know what? I want to get out on the water. It's going to be a nice day for that. The water temperatures are still kind of cool, so as long as you don't fall in. But, sunshine, 70s, and there's not going to be much wind. So that's the other nice thing. We've had a lot of wind the last several days, and Friday looking good. So
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, we're watching those days with today and, of course, Saturday with those weather impact alerts as we've been watching severe weather. It's already been quite a week of severe storm threats across the central U.S. Tornadoes have struck multiple states, and flooding has also been a major concern. Rivers are already running high in waterlogged northern Michigan and in Wisconsin, where dams are also at risk of failing. Yeah,
a lot going on across the Midwest, and technically it is spring, but some very wintry weather has created havoc on highways as well. Reed Binion reports.
Then we were going to leave. We thought we had time. We looked out and it was like, no, the sky just changed very suddenly.
Residents in Ottawa, Kansas, describing the tornado that ripped through their community as extreme weather slammed that state and many others Monday, causing injuries and major damage.
I mean, it looked like a war zone.
You're speechless. You're like, oh my, all you can say is, oh my God, and some more cuss words.
More than a dozen tornadoes were reported in states across the Great Plains and Upper Midwest on Monday alone, with more twisters striking again Tuesday. Wisconsin also dealing with dangerous flooding. First responders performing rescue operations amid high water.
We rescued some individuals from their homes. They had flooding completely up to their basement. A school bus that was tipped on, not on its side, but tipped a little bit. Fortunately, there was no kids, only the bus driver on the bus.
High water also a concern in parts of Michigan, including Sheboygan, where authorities told people to evacuate low-lying areas along the Sheboygan River due to a levee breach. Severe weather also hitting Colorado, creating havoc on the highway.
We kept getting hit, like from other cars smashing.
Snowy conditions at the high elevations of the Colorado Rockies contributing to a 75-car pileup on Interstate 70.
It was terrifying. Watching semis jackknife behind you is not what I'd want to be doing.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Yeah, definitely some wild weather. And this is a look at the aerial view of the flooding in the town of Shoto, Wisconsin. That's about a half an hour southeast of Green Bay. This is in the West Twin River, one of several rivers in the region that are actually running high right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at that water running through, and they do have just a normal dam there, but you can see the water rushing on through and causing a lot of issues for sure. And that wasn't the only place dealing with flooding. Storms caused flash flooding in Milwaukee last night. You can see water covering the streets there. Certainly was a problem for people trying to get around as we were going through last night. And hopefully that water had receded some this morning. But, you know, they have some lingering river flooding, as you showed there just a moment ago, just from the longer-term heavy rain they've had around here, around there recently.
Yeah, and I was actually watching some of the storms. One of the there was actually a tornado warning heading in towards the Oconomowoc area, western Milwaukee, and the storms just kind of moving over the same location, one after another, producing all that flooding, unfortunately. And elsewhere in Wisconsin, Tuesday night storms actually caused major damage in the Sussex-Lisbon area. Radar confirmed tornado touchdown Tuesday night. Radar showed debris lofted. Extensive damage can be found near the Lisbon Presbyterian Church. Several power lines are down, and a line of at least 8 trees in a row were uprooted in that area. I believe there was a storm in Juneau County, which is just north and west of Madison, Wisconsin. There was a very strong signature of a tornado. I believe the town was Union Center that got hit by some pretty extensive damage.
Yeah, a lot of active storms, and earlier Tuesday evening, that same system that affected Wisconsin brought severe storms with large hail through much of northeastern Iowa. There were also multiple tornado warnings issued from those storms. The National Weather Service is going to be surveying that damage today or Thursday to determine where and how many tornadoes happened. Emergency managers passed along multiple reports of damage from farm buildings to power poles to homes in Masonville and Winthrop, Iowa. And those storms in Iowa also produced this tornado. This was near the town of Onslow in eastern Iowa. You can see that little kind of snaky rope shape there, and the dust getting swirled up there near the ground.
Yeah, pretty much dramatic, and just like stepping outside and just being witnessing that. At least it looks like a small tornado, but any tornado, whether it's small or large, can still do some pretty severe damage. And likely this tornado, at least in the field right there, you can see a pretty good debris, all the debris there at the ground.
Yeah, a lot of that dust and dirt getting kicked up before the crops are in and growing and all that. But yeah, just a little rope tornado there. But as you mentioned, even the weak ones, those can cause the damage. We've seen that around here recently with those EF0s and EF1s.
Yeah, and I feel like this is, almost kind of the classic thing you see in the Great Plains, Iowa. You see stuff like this in Kansas. Those tornadoes out in the field, usually not causing much of an issue, but definitely still something to be concerned about, especially if it's heading towards a town. Thankfully, this one looks like it's kind of heading away from them from this video. And we finally today want to check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. Storms also rolled across northern Illinois last night. This is a look at video from a plane landing at O'Hare International Airport on the northwest side of Chicago. You can see all the lightning flashing as the storm clouds rolled through Chicago, and definitely makes for a dramatic, landing into the city there.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, all right, let's get in before this starts to be an issue. And of course, they had those the lightning, but they also had some flooding from those storms as well. Staying in the Windy City, or maybe the Stormy City, video from a cab service provider shows that they had the water gushing and bubbling from the drains at the arrivals level at Terminal 1 at the O'Hare International last night as well. So a couple of views from O'Hare last night.
Yeah, that's so much heavy rainfall coming down. And you could see it from the plane. Just how intense those thunderstorms were, not just the lightning perspective, but usually when you have so much lightning, there's a lot of static, there's a lot of energy associated with those storms that they're going to dump a lot of rain like that, and perhaps even some hail.
Yeah, a lot of places dealt with quite a bit of rain. I know other parts of northern Illinois had flood watches earlier this morning.
Yeah, and of course the area there in Chicago having the streets flooded there at O'Hare Airport recorded about 2.2 inches of rainfall between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. local time, most of which fell just between 10 p.m. and midnight, just a deluge of rain according to the National Weather Service.
Yeah, certainly a lot of rain there.
Yeah, still got the 70s and 80s out there. Again, we're tracking the potential for record high temperatures here today. As we look at the 7-day forecast here one more time, 85. That's going to be nice and warm, already in the low 80s, mid 80s in some places here this afternoon. So we're ready for it.
That we are, and Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer is in this afternoon along with you to keep an eye on things, especially for our northern towns, to see if any of those storms do turn active.
Yeah.
We'll be here letting you know as things develop, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that things are a little quieter than what we had last night, but we're still, of course, going to be watching Saturday as well. So be sure to tune in at 4 o'clock, or rather starting at 4 o'clock, and for a few hours beyond there to find out all the latest with your latest forecast.
Yeah, so we'll be tracking the storm. So until then, you can catch more news and weather online as always at 10tv.com.